I'm very sick at the moment, but I just finished Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and the game is so damn good that I don't care how sick I am, I just want to talk about this game. I first heard about Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle when it was leaked to me by a reliable source. The fact that it existed wasn't interesting in and of itself. Nintendo have always been fairly adventurous with their Mario IP, using it in things like racing games and RPGs and golf games and tennis games and whatever else, but this wasn't actually being developed by Nintendo, and this was what really piqued my interest about Mario Rabbids. It was actually being developed by Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Milan to be precise. This is really weird. This sort of thing just doesn't happen across the industry in general, and it especially doesn't happen with Nintendo, who are notoriously protective of their IP. Clearly, this was a game worth paying attention to if Nintendo were going to get behind this idea. Fast forward a few months and a retailer leak later, and I'm sitting outside the Ubisoft E3 press conference waiting to go in, and another reliable source whispers in my ear that Shigeru Miyamoto is going to be presenting there today. I lost my shit with excitement, and sure enough, in he walked when it was time to announce Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, a game bringing together Mario and his buddies and the irreverent Ubisoft Rabbids, who are basically just cute bunnies who act like they're really drunk most of the time. The E3 reveal went on to show some of the gameplay. Mario Rabbids wasn't the platformer we were expecting. Ubisoft and Nintendo threw a complete curveball and instead delivered what is most easily described as Mario XCOM. For those unaware, the XCOM games are perhaps the best known example of the tactic genre, a turn-based, cover-based, tile-based strategy style of play that has almost always tended towards the more hardcore or serious audience, not the family-friendly style we were seeing here with Mario Rabbids. Clearly we were seeing a departure in setting with this new Nintendo Ubisoft hybrid, but I'd wonder whether or not this XCOM for kids would deliver as an actual game, or would it simply seek to cash in on the huge brand cash that Mario enjoyed. All of these fears were immediately dispelled when I went hands-on with the game at E3 the following day. I'm someone that's played both XCOM 1 and 2 extensively, and immediately, in the little that I played it, I could tell that this game was mechanically deeper than XCOM. Where Mario Odyssey took game of show for many, Mario Rabbids took game of show for me. I went home looking forward to Mario Rabbids perhaps more than anything else this coming year, bar Destiny 2. On Thursday this week, just ahead of a 4-hour flight I was making to far north Queensland for a wedding, I got my code for Mario Rabbids. And except for the time when I was at the wedding, I've been pretty much playing it non-stop since I got it. Having completed the game now, I can tell you that the wait was worth every single second. The game is just wonderful, and it delivered not only in ways that I hoped, but in ways that I never could have predicted. It's a testament to the courage of Nintendo to go down this path and trust someone else with their beloved IP, and it's a spectacular achievement on the part of Ubisoft, who proves that the magic that Nintendo brings to games isn't impossible to reproduce outside of Nintendo's hallowed halls. I love this game, and I want to share that love with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review of Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I think the thing you'll first notice when you boot up Mario Rabbids is that the game goes to great lengths to deliver a wonderful backdrop to the world and its characters. See, there's this magic headset, don't you know, and it can combine things. So when one of the cheeky Rabbids gets their hands on it and starts combining things, all hell breaks loose. Somewhat inexplicably, everyone is sucked into a washing machine along with a poster of Mario, and bam, Mario Rabbids now has a backstory. Obviously it's not Shakespeare, but it doesn't need to be. It's simple, and it actually gives the artists and designers a lot of freedom to deliver an interesting setting that will combine the Mushroom Kingdom with giant washing machines and boxing gloves and all sorts of other nonsense, because why not? It doesn't take us long to meet Mario and his buddies, but it's really the Rabbids that steal the show. Their slapstick brand of humour isn't for everyone, but there's at least a good chance that you'll crack a smile at their antics at least once or twice. Whether it's Rabid Peach jealously eyeing off real Peach, or Rabid Mario nodding approvingly at real Mario, there's a real chemistry between the straight-laced Nintendo characters and the ludicrous over-the-top Rabbids. I won't lie, I laughed so many times throughout the course of this game. It's legitimately funny, it's a legitimately well-written game, and I found myself looking forward to the cutscenes because I could be sure that there was going to be at least something in there that would make me smile and punctuate another tense and intellectually demanding adventure. I think the best part of the presentation though is the degree to which Ubisoft haven't been lazy in the way they've innovated and reimagined the world of Mario. They take Mario as a starting point, and then they go somewhere with that. And you really feel it when you're listening to reimaginings of classic Mario theme songs, when you're fighting reimaginings of classic Mario bosses, in reimaginings of classic Mario worlds. The familiar sits right alongside the inventive. It's homage done pitch perfect, taking the best and adding to it in a way that will make you appreciate the original more because you've seen it from a new angle entirely. But the innovation in presentation pales in comparison to its innovation on XCOM's much-loved mechanics. So let's take a look at how Ubisoft and Nintendo have one-upped the original XCOM. Get it? One up? Like the mushroom? Okay, let's move on. Back in the 90s, XCOM was kind of a big deal. Developed by Mythos Games and Microprose, XCOM UFO Defense took a lot of the tabletop rules from games like Warhammer and Dungeons & Dragons and combined them into a sleek, intelligent package that worked superbly on the PC format. The game went on to have 3 major sequels before it lost its luster in the early 2000s when the rights were transferred to Hasbro. After 11 years without a release, Firaxis of Civilization fame picked up the rights and released a brand spanking new XCOM game, and it was glorious. Immediately embraced by newcomers and veterans alike, the 2012 XCOM saw a resurgence in the IP, and we'd soon get both a spin-off in the form of the Bureau XCOM Declassified and an expansion, Enemy Within, and last year we got a full-blown sequel with XCOM 2. With the success of XCOM, you'd really think that there'd be more copycats out there trying to muscle in on Firaxis' slice of the pie, but there weren't really. I mean, there were a few that tried it, but most of these sort of fall into the tactics genre rather than the XCOM genre. The differences are subtle but notable. Final Fantasy Tactics doesn't feel remotely like XCOM. Neither does Fire Emblems, or the Banner Saga, or even Shadowrun. Mario Rabbids though, now this game feels like XCOM. For those unfamiliar with the formula, you control a party of 3 characters. They each have their own strengths and weaknesses and abilities, like Mario who can jump on other people's heads, or Rabid Peach who can heal, or Luigi who has less HP than his team members, but has much longer range, making him ideal for sniper-style gameplay. Cover is king in XCOM-style games. Being out in the open means that the enemy has an unobstructed shot, where being behind full or partial cover will make it harder or even impossible to hit you. Through careful positioning and attacks, you'll kill enemies, escort allies, or simply make it to certain places on the map to continue on your journey through the Mushroom Kingdom. And that's fine. If you've played XCOM before, you know all that. But Mario Rabbids takes the best of XCOM and then combines it with the best of Mario to produce something that is mechanically and strategically deeper than XCOM. And the main tool it uses to do this is movement. See, XCOM is a boots-on-the-ground sci-fi game. Soldier mobility is very limited, and that means that you're typically thinking on only a few dimensions because you can only move so far. But Mario does away with that thinking. Mario wants you to think in all of the dimensions, by allowing you to leapfrog off your allies, to bounce on an enemy's head, only to then dash into a pipe and immediately appear on higher ground at the other side of the map, ready to take a well-placed shot. Mario Rabbids combines an infinitely flexible movement system with an innovative approach to level design, to get you constantly thinking about the battlefield in ways that XCOM never asked you to. But there's so much more awesome complexity to the combat system. There's the Overwatch system that we all know and love, and that's XCOM Overwatch, by the way, not Blizzard Overwatch. There's a deployable remote-controlled mine, there's environmental hazards pulled straight from the Mario world, like sand tornadoes and pose that teleport you. There are bosses that are so interesting and so well constructed that they ask you to not only master the game's mechanics, but also solve puzzles while you're doing it. I could go on and on about the combat loop, but I'll just say this. The people who made this game are excellent video game makers. The balance is phenomenal, constantly challenging you without ever feeling unfair. And perhaps best of all, the game is far less RNG dependent than what XCOM is, meaning that you really feel like you're making strategic decisions with every move rather than just hoping for the best. Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Milan have produced a truly exceptional strategy game, one of the best I have ever played in fact, and they've done it while wrapping it up in an impossibly charming Nintendo wrapper. The team who produced this should be proud of what they've produced, because this is one of the deepest and yet most accessible strategy games released in many, many years. You may be wondering at this point what else there is outside of the combat to hold this game together. Well, one of the things I didn't expect was that there would be a huge amount of puzzle solving and exploration going on to help pace the adventure. Between each encounter there's a brief period where you'll just meander through the world on your way to the next battle, and along the way you'll meet other Rabbids doing crazy things, other Mario characters needing help, and many, many environmental puzzles that require your solving if you're to progress. And the puzzles are just great. Some of them are really tricky, but most of them are just right. Not too long, not too short, and always clever. It's similar in structure to the Breath of the Wild shrines, each with their own little puzzle that needs to be solved, and always a way to punctuate the broader adventure. And if you're wondering if there's a progression component to the experience, then yes, there certainly is. There's a rich weapon system with damage and status effects, and secondary weapons that opens up new playstyles, and a really interesting skill tree that has legitimately difficult choices to make. It's not like one option is the clear best, they're all good, and it's up to the player to decide what they want to focus on throughout their adventure. And then there's the Metroidvania style powers you get along the way that open up new areas for you to explore, or allow you to revisit old areas and unlock their secrets. And did I mention there was multiplayer as well, where you and a friend share the controller and play together? And did I mention the challenge modes that open up after you clear each world, allowing you to go back and complete each mission with new conditions to up the intensity? Look, the fact is, there's a lot of game here. I think the average playthrough for most people is going to be somewhere in the 25 to 30 hour mark, depending on how difficult you find the combat to be, and how many times you need to restart a mission, which is definitely a risk in this game because it is hard. And I would put this warning out to any parents considering buying this for their child. This may be one where you're going to want to help them through some of these challenges. The Mario label may lead you to think that this game is aimed at children, but I think anyone under the age of maybe 8 or 9 is probably going to really struggle with this one. Having said that, I could think of few better games to play alongside your child, because its glossy Mario exterior conceals a wonderfully deep, complex and intellectually stimulating game that I think would be great for children to play because of how much it asks of them. In an age where most children's games don't reach far beyond put the toy on the controller, it's good to know that games like this will be played by kids, and they'll probably be smarter for it. Lastly, and I think most importantly when we talk about the context of this game, we have to call out how perfect Mario Rabbids is for the Switch, a portable console. See, I don't like playing a lot of games on the go because the smaller screen and less precise controllers really undermine the immersion of the experience for me. But this isn't the case with Mario Rabbids. It's as though Ubisoft got hold of the Mario rights and then said, what's the best sort of game we could make for a portable machine? An XCOM style game fits the bill perfectly because so much of the experience is just spent sitting there thinking about your next move, rather than frantically running around and shooting things. And the action can be paused at any time when your train arrives or your bus stops or whatever, and you can just pick up and start again the minute you get off at your station. It's just so pick up and play all the time. Without question, Zelda is the best game to own on your Nintendo Switch, but I am now firmly of a view that Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is now the second best, and that's a very, very big call when you remember that this game wasn't even made by Nintendo. From start to finish, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a labour of love on the part of the creators. It oozes polish, humour, intelligence, style and depth. It's the sort of game that won't go on to sell 1 billion copies, but those that play it will know how awesome it is and remember it. And I suspect those who made it will look back with an enduring sense of pride, even if they go on to create other AAA behemoths in the future. I suspect this game will go on to earn its own small, respected place in gaming history, and I for one hope we see much more from this license in the future, and much more from the fine teams at Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Milan. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, comment and share. You can find me on social media at the links below, and if you'd like to support me in what I'm doing, you can check out my Patreon as well. Thanks everyone, bye bye.